Hello and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. It's no secret that I think XRP will skyrocket in value. That is the most likely result, in my opinion. I would wager that the vast majority of you share my optimism that XRP will skyrocket in value. I believe that is something we share in common. But if it does, your XRP windfall might bring in a lot more money than you anticipate. Because acquiring wealth is only the beginning of the adventure. If you're thinking long-term, that's only the beginning. If you're more like the normal moron who wins the lotto and promptly goes bankrupt, though, you could be tempted to spend it all at once. But I won't be acting in that way. What do you think I'll do with my XRP? Here, in the newest member of the Moon family sedan room temperature gene, I'm going to tell you. Please understand that I'm not a financial expert and am not giving any sort of financial advice. I just want to make that plain up front. Also, you know that you shouldn't act on any of my recommendations to buy or sell. Just a hobbyist here that occasionally posts films to YouTube on various crypto-related topics. I was inspired to write this after being tagged in a tweet by Frankie, a member of the XRP community. Frankie has been working with cryptography since 2011. You don't think he isn't an OG, do you? Buying Bitcoin in 2011 was a lot like that. And his day job is in the financial sector. He's obviously quite astute and knows a lot of stuff that the average investor could miss. Moreover, he recorded the telephone. And he's throwing around some pretty hefty figures here, but in a minute I'll be using my own. I'm interested in exploring his claims. His opening number is impressive, but it's not completely out there. So he puts down $10 million, claiming a 7% long-term rate of return will have him investing 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. Also, he pasted a screenshot here. Let's expand it to fill the screen. You're not even looking at the screen, he says, and I'll jot down what he says, rows. So, this is just a compound interest calculator, and I'm going to bring up one on a separate live page for this video. We're going to have fun with some numbers. However, he entered $10 million as the initial investment. And he's letting it compound annually at the low or respectable rate of 7%, depending on a factor I'll discuss in a moment. But he only put in 7%. And he plans to wait 30 years before cutting it down. That $10 million would then be worth $76,122,550 after 30 years at a return rate of 7% each year. From $10 million to $76.5 million. Or you could simply waste it on caps, since why the heck do you need those extra points anyway? It's a movie reference, assuming you know what I'm talking about, and you know that. But then he went on to extol the virtues of patient, globally diversified, and experienced investors who can ride out the market cycle with minimal anxiety. So, if you've found success in the crypto market, curb your appetite and invest less aggressively with your newfound cash. And then he says, cut crypto down by 90%. Oh, I lost my train of thought there. That particular region, my apologies. Take 90% out of crypto, diversify into stocks, bonds, real estate, and uncorrelated alternative investments, keep 10% in cash, $2 cost average through the bear market, try to 10x that 10% cash. Once you make the big money, lower the risk, then you take me in there too. So, Ricky, I appreciate you tagging me. True, that is the case. And not enough individuals express themselves in this way. And that's the truth. My plan is to reinvest some of my XRP earnings in the cryptocurrency market, but I do reserve the option of not doing so. It's been a while since I brought up that subject, and I've mentioned it before. I plan to buy XRP, but not until the market crashes and the bubble bursts, at which point I intend to invest every cent of my newfound wealth. If, for example, I liquidate all of my XRP, it doesn't imply I don't believe it has a bright future ahead of it. That only means I need to broaden my investment strategies and hedge my bets even more. So, even if I sell all of my XRP, which I might do, that doesn't guarantee I won't purchase it again if the price drops. It's an almost certainty that I consider purchasing again. The important thing to remember is that investing your hard-earned cash is a brilliant move. And this in no way precludes your having a good time. We all have different goals when it comes to XRP. But if you have that amount of money, I'm willing to take a look. Some of you might just be looking for several $100,000. Some of you may be looking for millions. But this is just to use a simple number, and I'm not saying this is or isn't what I'm looking for, but as a kind of baseline, because I believe that most of us rightly recognize that the idea of getting $1 million out of a cryptocurrency is not a bonkers idea, even in the year 2023. It's not impossible if you have enough time and effort to devote to it. That's what my own thoughts tell me. That rules out the possibility that it could be considered financial guidance. I'm not going to act like there's no danger here. I would say the risk is quite substantial. Even so, I think it's not out of the question at all. I found a compound interest calculator online and put in $1 million to illustrate the point. Let's imagine, then, that you manage to earn $1 million with XRP. As soon as it reaches its new peak, interest rate discovery will occur, and I'm aware that, depending on where you live, you may be subject to taxes. I'm going to act as though taxes don't exist for the duration of this discussion. And for some of you there might not be, depending on where you live on the world, but just set that aside, because I'm trying to make a bigger point, it doesn't matter. Suppose you have $1 million worth of XRP. Well, if you let it grow for 10 years without touching it and you have an interest rate of 10%, then after 10 years, that $1 million becomes almost $2. 6 million, and the precise number is displayed on the screen for those who wish to look what from $1 million to 2.6. A 10% interest rate is being offered. Which is why I made the point at the beginning of the video that the value of your XRP holdings may be much higher than you currently assume. You can put your money somewhere safer, where it will grow steadily without as much of a danger, and enjoy a greater degree of financial security. That's how I see it right now. You can still have a good time despite this. In fact, at that time, you can go as far as you want to go because you have everything you need. If you decided to stop working and spend the rest of your life lounging on a beach, you could spend all the money you've saved up from not having to worry about paying bills or buying food. To tell you the truth about some things in life would be so rewarding. Sure. However, that's a separate discussion altogether. You can do whatever you want in life, of course, but what I'm getting at is that if you're making money, you can spend all of it on whatever you want. You could buy a Lamborghini and drink Chris's towels while watching the game. That rang a bell from the MTV show Cribs. Cribs, keep it in mind. Everyone who was anybody in the rap game in the early to mid 2000s wore a Chris towel. Dreamer, you can do anything the hell you want. However, this notion that you are only going to, what have you considered? What are your plans for the XRP you've earned? Is your plan to invest it all so that you're financially secure for the rest of your life, or to blow it all in one big splurge? And I'm not gonna lie to you, you could make more than this if you tried. It's possible that the final amount will be less than this, but even so, it'll be considerable. So, I'm taking into account the fact that I already have a certain amount of wealth. Also, my age is 39. I used to be wealthy, but now I'm just like you. However, I'm aware that my wealth is greater than that of the average 39-year-old. It's public knowledge, thus I was able to figure it out. Therefore, I am content with my current situation. I am confident that if I continue on this course, I will become wealthy. Especially so if XRP achieves what I expect and hope it will and sets a new record high. So what I'm going to do, and I know some of you might think $1 million is low, is that I'm just saying that my target might be lower than most people's, and I'm not saying mine is or isn't $1 million, I'm just using because it's an easy, round number. But, I'm taking into account the rest of my net worth and where it is, and the fact that I'm going to continue to earn money. I'm not going to stop doing stuff to earn money. I'm 39 years old, and I'd be bored if I weren't doing stuff that I want to do, like it's quote-unquote work, but it's enjoyed stuff that I enjoy. You know what I mean. That's why I'm going to keep working hard and saving money so that I can let some XRP ride and feel extra secure and happy. If I wanted to, I could easily blow through my salary and other sources of income to fund a trip to Lambeau Field and other extracurricular activities. I know you're out there, by the way. You might, for example, perform a wide variety of things along these lines, all of which would rely on your specific objectives. It's not impossible by any means. Therefore, you should already be planning ahead. I believe it is possible to get there, therefore we shall see what happens once you have your mega profit, life-changing fortune of XRP. But how are you planning on putting it to use? Now, how about the 10% interest rate I inserted? I feel the need to provide an explanation for my actions. Where Frankie stated 7%, I entered 10%. Given that both are plausible, I feel it necessary to clarify the distinction between them here. Just like that, it's over. In any case, I needed to know more about this, so I ran a fast Google search and found this site, which has the following information. The average annual return for the S&P 500 over the last 100 years is 10.331%, demonstrating the US stock market's consistent ability to generate double-digit gains annually. For those who are interested, the graph is displayed below. In this case, the total return is just over 10%. But when you include inflation, you can see how quickly that disappears. So, if you want to know what the real purchasing power is after accounting for inflation, plug in Frankie's value of 7%. The graph below shows the average annual return from the stock market over the past century, 10.331% assuming dividends are reinvested. Returns during the same time frame are shown in a separate column and are calculated to be 7.191%. That's the typical yield after accounting for inflation and reinvested dividends. Inflation would increase Frankie's $10 million gift to nearly $76 million after 30 years. The cost of living has not been included in my estimate. To account for inflation, you can reduce my 10% offer to 7%. That $1 million I told you about before would grow to about $2.6 million after 10 years. Now, if you alter the interest rate to 7% the value Frankie used, it only shows you what it would be worth in terms of purchasing power accounting for normal inflation, which is not what we've seen recently. Still, it's a good way to get a little brain workout. As a result, if you converted Frankie's 10% into 7%, that $2.6 million would be closer to $2 million. Taking inflation into account, your $1 million would now be worth around $2 million after just 10 years. Therefore, you would have more than that. However, it would be closer to $2 million in today's values. But that's really insane. When you add in the what-ifs of 20 years, though, things really start to heat up. I'm going to revert back to 10% so you can see the true dollar amount. Once you account for inflation, though, your purchasing power will actually decrease, so for the sake of simplicity I'm going to set it back at 10%. After 20 years at a 10% annual rate, your XRP profits amount to $1 million. Let's do the math, and we get a total of or just over $6.7 million. So if you make $1 million by trading XRP, that may be $1 million or more depending on how you account for it. Is it all going to be wasted? You plan on hanging out with mid-2000s rap stars at Lambo Town's drinking establishments and Chris's dad on the moon, right? What else can you do? For the simple reason that you could make $9 million from $1 million. That's only a single facet of your existence. I'm willing to wager that many of you are like me and have cryptocurrency holdings that span a wide variety of types. For this reason, I'm considering my own individual circumstance, just as each of you is no doubt doing the same. Your current wealth, whatever it may be, your XRP for the sake of argument, let's say $1 million, and any more cryptocurrencies you have, all of which are likely to appreciate in value over time. And it's okay if some initiatives never get off the ground, I'm sure a few of mine will. I don't need a perfect record, simply a few victories will suffice. But when you add in all that and the fact that you can still make money, things get ridiculously out of hand quickly, and you end up with insane generational riches. As it should be. That, to me, is the proper way to play. That's roughly how I plan to approach things. Because of this, I currently retain a larger quantity of XP and XRP than the average person has risked. Once we reach a price of around $567.80, I will feel confident in making a sale, and I will begin gradually decreasing my involvement. That will completely alter my life for the better. To reiterate, I will not fritter away my windfall. In fact, I'm highly unlikely to spend any of the funds I get, preferring instead to reinvest them in a less thrilling and less volatile asset. However, that doesn't mean my interest in cryptography will wane. I'll just put more money into that since I need a safer investment. Because of this, I've decided to pursue this strategy. So, once again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the value of your XRP earnings may well exceed even that. What would $1 million, or $500,000, or even a few $100,000 turn into if you saved it for 10 years? It really is up to you and your preferences. If you want to retire and do nothing for the rest of your life, I don't see that as a viable option. For the simple reason that doing things gives people a sense of purpose and fulfillment. That's why retirees have a poor track record historically. Numerous statistics can be found on the topic. Because of this, I doubt I'll ever truly retire, yet the work I do during that time need not be for pay. The job doesn't have to make you feel like a slave, coop you up in a tiny office, and make you hate your life. I mean, it's admirable that you're working to support yourself and your family in that way. However, if you're looking for a change, that's the point at which you can take a calculated risk and begin pursuing an endeavor that truly fascinates you. I don't buy cars unless I can afford them outright, and I'm generally against taking on further debt. I personally don't spend money unless I have it. The only possible exception is a decent house, but only just barely. That's about all there is to it. In that regard, I'm a lot like Dave Ramsey. I just think that being debt-free is the best approach to set yourself up for long-term financial success. Because, you can think about how people like even purchasing vehicles, and it's just like the idea of people purchasing, whether you're making $40, $50, $60, or $70,000, not that that's bad money. But, are you sure it's a smart idea to buy a $50,000 car if your income is that high? Do you get what I'm saying? I understand that a regular payment is within your means. However, what if, and then, there are such ridiculously long-term loan terms as 7 years? So, picture this, instead of paying $600 a month over the course of a 7-year, 5-year, or whatever it is now auto loan, you only had to pay $500 a month. What if, instead of making that monthly payment, you drove a Beta for 7 years instead? After 7 years, you have enough money to buy the car outright, but I'm willing to bet that you wouldn't want to put that money into a brand new car. Because it would be difficult to part with such a large cash suddenly in exchange for an automobile, which loses value over time. When you take on debt, your brain sends the message that it's reasonable and you can actually afford the monthly payment. The question is whether or not doing so is the most prudent use of your money. So be it, but consider the manner in which I'm presently informing you. Now imagine that you don't have to worry about repaying the debt and instead have access to the entire lump sum. People are willing to do this if they have to pay back a loan over a period of 7 years, but not if they have to pay it back in a lump sum. However, that's a lot to lose, man. The power of compound interest, which might have been used to invest all that money, is really real. The world's seventh wonder. Right, it's marketed as such, and I can see why. I'm not trying to preach or anything, I just think it's important to treat money with the reverence it deserves and to try to live within one's means. You might think I'm not doing that if you saw me and knew my current circumstances. Well, even though I'm doing far better than the average 39-year-old, you wouldn't know it from looking at me. The only giveaway is that I drive a Maserati, but I purchased it used, so it's already depreciated by, 66%. Also, its value has remained roughly stable for the past year and a half. That, too, was not unreasonable. He deserves to enjoy life from time to time. But I bought that used and with cold hard cash. That car is a Maserati Gran Turismo, just so you know. If you can't afford it with cash that you actually have, maybe you shouldn't do it. I bought it used, it was 8 years old at the time, it was $142,000, new liberal over that, and I bought it for $54,000, and I can just sell that. I agree with Dave Ramsey on this, with the possible exception of the home. As a result, I anticipate that this will develop into a broader discussion on money and economics. Although, I find great pleasure in engaging in such discourse. It's intriguing because it's still crypto-related, raising the question of what you'll do with your XRP in practice. So, I'm just giving you my 2 cents, ultimately, it's up to you how you choose to go. I'm not going to tell you where to put your money or how long to keep it in the bank. Absolutely fine with me. To me, it's just more entertaining and informative to discuss this topic. As a result, I feel compelled to offer some commentary. Because I intend to leave a legacy of riches to future generations through the assets I have amassed and the income I expect to receive. That is what I intend to do. So, what exactly are you going to do? Do you plan to merely spend it? Have you considered this possibility? What are your plans for storage? You may still go out and have fun by treating yourself to some retail therapy. You know, it's okay, you'll have some pleasure if you have that type of cash and you buy extremely costly goods. But do you have a long-term strategy? So that it becomes really absurd. Because that is the end goal I have in mind. So, tell me what you think. This is an entertaining discussion. It's been a long time since I broached a topic like this in conversation. Because Frankie tagged me, I've been thinking about this topic again, it's one of my favorites. There is a wide range of opinions out there. So, it's fine if you totally disagree with me. Just tell me what you believe and how you plan to handle everything. But the potential for XRP is extremely genuine, and our extra P will be worth a lot in the future, in my opinion. I don't dismiss it as wishful thinking. Having some luck isn't the same as playing the lotto. Yes, this does exist. As a result, individual risk preferences play a role. How much space do you have? How much longer do you plan on waiting? Consequently, it's obviously not a given for everyone, and there's a lot of danger and everything. I'll say it again, investing in cryptocurrency is extremely risky. However, I see it as a strategic gamble. And I'm aware of the potential danger. There is no need to worry about me. I'll be okay if I lose everything, but I don't anticipate that happening. The more ludicrous it gets, the more enjoyable it will be, in my opinion. I'm not a financial expert, so you know you can't put your money on what I say. Please like and subscribe as always. See you in the next one, bye.